good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that trade analysis. The hot topic of today is the Utah Jazz have acquired Jaren Jackson Jr., John Concar, Jock Landale, Vince Williams Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies for their rookie, Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, and Taylor Hendricks and George Niang, and they also get 3 first-round picks, which is a good amount for a guy that has been an all-star, and he has been a floor spacing big that can protect the paint a little bit. The Grizzlies have signed Jackson to renegotiate and extend contract worth $240 million over 5 seasons in the offseason, which they already have done, basically what they're saying, but have quickly pivoted to move more around a rebuild now, which makes a lot of sense. I felt like Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant wasn't enough to make you a contender anymore, especially after they let go of Desmond Bane last year. So it made sense for them to reevaluate where they at, think how they can, move, how they feel about the roster, how they feel about their best players. Obviously, the Grizzlies are below 500 right now. Ja been banged up. Jaren's been banged up. And even when they was healthy, they still was a playoff caliber team, but not one that can win it all. I know that Jaren Jackson and Ja are very, very young, but at the same time, you got to keep paying these guys for a mediocre season and a mediocre playoff run. It does get to a point where we might as well sell them high. I feel like Jaren Jackson's having a good season. Ja Morant having another season where it doesn't matter as much because he missed so many games, and that's going to be the toughest thing to do is get rid of him. But I feel like Jaren Jackson can get them the best return out of everybody on their roster if somebody wants that massive contract, which we see now that the Jazz does. After trading Desmond Bane to the Magic in June, and now Jackson getting traded to Utah too, they have a decision to make on whether to move Ja Morant ahead of the deadline or potentially wait until the off season. At the end of the day, he shouldn't be a Grizzlies no more. He's been a fun, exciting player. He brought a lot of happiness to the team, and so did Jaren. He came in as a teenager. They knew he had upside. They knew he had potential, and he lived up to a little bit of it by becoming an all-star and a defensive player of the year. But they was really feeling themselves. They had a lot of bravado. They had a lot of swagger, and it just never materialized into being a dominant team in the Western Conference. The Grizzlies will receive the most favorable 2027 first-round pick between the Jazz, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, along with the Los Angeles Lakers 2027 first-round pick and the Phoenix Suns 2031 first-round pick. The Grizzlies also created a $28.8 million trade exception as a part of the deal, which is the largest in NBA history. That's good to know. Obviously, they can get whoever they want, however they want to do it now. That made sense for them to try to get that too, depending on if they like somebody or want to take a flyer on somebody. It allows them to do so. Jackson is a 2-time All-Star and, like I said before, a Defensive Player of the Year, and he is under 20. He's 26 and under team control until his option in 2029. And that's good to know. Obviously, if you like him, you have a chance to really do a lot of things with him, try a lot of things with him since he's on your roster for a long period of time because of the extension he just signed. Jackson will slot in beside Lauri Markkanen. A lot of people felt that they'd be trying to trade Lauri Markkanen instead of trying to keep him, not because of his contract, but because this team has a lot of young players, and you can get a lot for Lauri Markkanen. Because he's a valuable player in this league, an all-star caliber player, even this year, numbers-wise. And the thing that has gotten him has been his health lately, too. As they look to take on the next step forward in their rebuild following the emergence of Keontae George, the Jazz, if The Jazz re-signed Walker Kessler, who's been banged up and injured the last 2 seasons, and he's missing the whole season this year. Also, they will have a jumbo front court with Markkanen playing small forward. Since he can shoot and he can rebound, I don't think that would be an issue or a problem. You see a guy like Kevin Durant playing small forward, and he's way too tall and way too big to be playing that position. But since he has the skills to handle the shooting ability, he can play it at a high level, and nobody complains about it because he can get it done. No matter who is the small forward or the power forward, that's something that you would love to have. As a guy that's versatile and a guy that can do multiple things at a high level. But Jaren Jackson Jr. has been one of those guys where people was excited to see what he was going to be, in the NBA, and him averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, and shooting 47% from the field as a 26-year-old that will be turning 27 this season, well, next season in September. It just shows you that as long as you're doing the greatness, most people gonna take a flyer on you. I'm a guy that probably would say that contract is a little too huge based off the production he's giving you, but you also look at a lot of the bigs that's in the league. He's still going to be one of the better ones when it comes to scoring, when it comes to being able to hit the three, when it comes to be able to drive and score on mismatches. He's still one of the better bigs. But at the same time, you look at the rebound numbers. You look at the fact that his defense has slid a little bit. He's still a decent one. And you look at the fact that the health is not always there either. But, they look at it like we ain't really giving much up for him. We really giving up more security than anything in this trade is the way you should look at it as a Jazz fan, because you look at the fact that you gave up only Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and George Niang. None of those guys are going to help or change anything for the Jazz. They just filler to be able to get a guy like Jaren Jackson on the Jazz. And on top of that, Jock Landale is a decent big. He can finish in the paint. John Carr can score a little bit. Vince Williams Jr. is a solid rotation wing in this league. And, I mean, you still get 3 first-round picks, and that's the best thing the Jazz got out of this trade besides Walter Clayton Jr., who can handle a little bit, make a little bit, and shoot the three, which they have guys that can do that already, but the more the merrier. He's on a rookie contract for a couple years. Taylor Hendricks isn't the worst guy either because he has the length. He has upside. Obviously, Utah, I feel like we got Jaren Jackson. We don't really need Taylor Hendricks, and that makes perfect sense when you think about it that way. But, he's still a guy that is a decent 6'9", 215-pound guy at 22 years old that you probably didn't even think you probably could get. But since they have so many guys in Memphis that can do those things, it makes sense why they don't really mind giving it up. And then George Niang, he's been flying around the league also. And it's unfortunate that he has to find another home. But he's a guy that can give you double figures. And if you can get a guy that can come in and swallow his ego, accept the role, give you shooting, a little bit of playmaking, and then also help you on the boards, you will be happy with the fact that he can just come in and do that for you. And on top of that, you don't have to worry about keeping them that long because all the guys that they got aren't on any good or bad contracts. They're on decent ones, tradable ones, if anything. And you can say the same thing about what the Jazz got. John Carr, Jock Landale, Vince Williams Jr. are all tradable because their contracts are really decent. You know what I mean? So this trade, I'm not in love with a Laurie, Jaren Jackson front court. I'm not in love with a Laurie, Walker Kessler front court, or even a Laurie, Jaren, and Walker front court. I'm not crazy over it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if I'm an NBA team. Plus, you're not going to see it this year anyway because, like I said, Walker Kessler is out for the rest of the season. But Memphis, some of these trades, you do wonder like what are they're trying to accomplish? What are they really trying to do? Because they went backwards, and now the best thing about it is they are good at drafting players. I think that that's something we have to give them credit on. They have drafted players no matter what position, first or second round that they've been in. They've been able to scout real well and get good players in. So I think that hitting on those three first round picks are going to be essential to their rebuild. It's common sense, but it's worth noting that. And other than that, I do look at it like, man, Memphis are taking a real big chance on Jaren Jackson Jr. And I felt that he would have been on a different team. I would have never thought the team that traded for him would be the Jazz. But it just show you like you never know. Keep playing your game, keep giving your best, keep going out there and compete, and you just never know what's gonna happen. Just like the real world works that way, life works that way, and you can see it can work that way in the NBA. Because I didn't expect a team like the Jazz to trade for him. You know what I mean? But it's reality now. It has happened. I don't really think they lose the trade because they did get the best player in the trade. Usually, if you get the best player in the trade, that means you won. But under that contract, and on top of that, he's not the greatest rebounder. He's not the greatest scorer. He's not a dominant player in this league, and you paying him like that. That has been my biggest issue with Jaren Jackson was that. But at the same time, we live in a league where even these contracts aren't the worst, even though they're massive now. Like everybody's getting massive contracts if they just do the basic things of being a good to great player. And Jaren Jackson is still going to be an all-star caliber player. His numbers are going to go down. His opportunities might go down. But at least he's going to still do what you expect him to be and do at this point of his career. If you come in and think he's going to be this type of player, then you're going to be disappointed. If you come in and expect him to be the same type of player he was for Memphis, then you can be a Utah Jazz fan and say, well, he's an upgrade over what we got rid of. But 3 first round picks, man, he's 26 and they looking at it like we rather have him than a lot of players that's coming up in these drafts. And that's the risk you take when you get rid of your first round picks. But Memphis is a team where they already basically fully loaded. And so is the Jazz with talent. And now they want to find a way to shake it up and do something and try something differently. And now we just have to all wait, watch, and see how it ends up going and how it ends up playing out. And that's all we can really do as fans of the game of basketball and as fans of the teams. Other than that, comment, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to get the analysis when it first come out. Y'all stay blessed up. Y'all stay good. Peace. And I'll see y'all later today, hopefully with more analysis.